If God created us with a purpose to do good and not evil, but we do evil, didn't he fail with his creation?
There are things that God cannot do. Failure is one of them.
Well, Terry, would you consider the human race to be a success because of where his creation, either he created us to go this route or he failed?
Well, Cortez, I believe if we stop doing it our way, start doing it His way, we will find out the success that He have for us will be more greater than the one we see right now.
If he's trying to get us to follow his way and we aren't, he's failing. If he's not trying to get us to follow his way, then who is he to blame people for not doing so?
If you have a creation that has the ability to choose, would you consider yourself as a failure? I think not. God is not a failure. We doing that ourselves.
That is very correct. The ability to choose. So how could he punish somebody for just simply making the choice? And if he knew that it was going to end up like this, then why did he stop before it got this bad?
Well, Mr. Cortez, it falls back on the will. We all have a will. God is not going to violate His will. He's not that kind of God. We choose to do what we do.
If you're being raped, murdered, stolen from, etc., wouldn't you rather him break that will of his and step in and stop it, other than to tell you have the free will to be raped, murdered, stolen from?
I believe we all a free moral agent. God has His will. He's not going to violate His will. Sure thing, when we step outside of His will, we will reap the consequences. It never was about our will. It always been about His will. Whether we like it or not, He always have the last say so.
And Terry, if I'm not mistaken, I could have sworn you said we have free will. Which one is it, free will or God's will? Because they're not the same thing, if he has the last say so.
Here's the easiest way to actually answer that. If a child disobeys, then who's at fault? The parent or the child?
The child failed, but that's my point. As the creation of the parent, that creation failed. And if I'm not correct, human beings don't have the power to create something perfect, do they? Bracy, I meant to say the child's at fault, not failed. But anyway, you can't answer a question with a question that's completely irrelevant.
It's totally relevant because we are all God's children, so therefore we are the ones at fault, not God. And also, check this out, just a little bit of addition. Even the angels have done things imperfectly. So therefore, who's at fault? The angels or God?
Here's why it's irrelevant. Because if he created us to do good and we're doing bad, he failed at getting us to do good. And if he created us to do bad, then who can he blame? He created us with a specific purpose. If that purpose was not achieved, then he failed. He didn't succeed at his creation and getting to do what he wanted.
Even Satan and demons are God's creation. So there's no failure. God never failed. He got some reasons.
Kim, either he fails or he creates things to be bad or evil. Pick one.
That's like asking how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood. That don't make no sense.
I don't get the relevance of that phrase, and it makes perfect sense. I'm saying if his creation fails and he didn't intend it to, that means he failed with the creation.
Listen, bro, you're kind of closed-minded. You need to understand that you're picking apart parts of the Bible that weren't meant to be picked apart. Look at the bigger message, the greater message. You know what I'm saying? The whole idea of God and the concept of Jesus and Him giving up His Son in the Bible, it's on an instruction manual for us how to love each other. That's the message. It's not to be picked apart and stuff.
So tell me, which parts am I supposed to pick apart? And why would he pick death and sacrifice as a message to his people?
God created us very perfectly. Even our body system, the ecosystem, the failure are all in our hands.
Kim, would you agree that nobody's perfect? How did he create us perfectly? Are you aware of the problems that we have that we're born with and that the ecosystem is kind of terrible?
Like Lucifer, who is former soldier in heaven. He is actually an angel before, whose name is Luzbel.
And what does Lucifer have to do with anything? If he was created perfectly, then maybe God intended for him to do what he does.
No, he did not fail. We failed him.
Tell me how, Slim. How do we fail him?
We failed him because we fell into temptation. Eve was the one who ate the apple, not God. We fell into temptation.
Yes, we failed. But if he didn't create us to fail, that means his creation failed. He failed at creating something to succeed. Get the concept now?
No, he didn't fail either way, even with your concept, because there's a problem with us, a problem that he didn't create.
Slim, that would mean something went wrong with his creation. That means he created something that was very vulnerable to go wrong. Did he create it that way or did he fail? Y'all are stating the same point over and over with new words, but it still means the exact same, and it's still wrong. Find a new point.
I understand what you're getting at, but that means, well, what I'm trying to say is that we went wrong because it was our fault, not him. We have free will that he gave us. And he actually intended, he knew that we were going to do bad with it, so he didn't fail. This was all according to his plan.
If he knew we were going to do bad and it was in his plan, why do we go to hell? Why do we suffer for what he... It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Well, I've answered your primary question, so I feel no need to further elaborate on something that's unnecessary. So, hope you have a good day and keep up the questions.
That's such a cop-out. Why bring it up if you're not going to address it? Have a good day.
Maybe to you it's a cop-out, but it really doesn't really matter, honestly, dude. Make a new video then.
Your entire life is a test. That is why free will is a test, to see if you will pick good over evil. He allows people to pick evil because if you pick good, you get into heaven.
Tommy, I was told before that God's will overpowers our will. And if that's true, then every decision we make is his will, isn't it?
God knows all and knows how everything will end. However, his will is that we will use our will to choose if we want to be with him or be with Satan.
No, God did not fail. There's barbers meant to cut hair, but you can't make somebody go get their hair cut. You gotta do it on your own.
Tommy, you do realize that will make God's will irrelevant and useless, right? And Jennifer, you do know that barbers didn't invent hair, so it's a terrible analogy.
I mean, would you feel better if I said your parents tell you to do stuff and it's for the better, but you don't do it? Does that mean they failed as parents?
Well, when you use that analogy, it becomes circumstantial. Sometimes it means that the parents didn't do anything to solve the problem, and sometimes they did everything they could, they just had a bad kid.
Okay, then the Bible, God is called our Father, so why blame him for our failures? He just had bad kids. Then you said parents did all they could. Was dying on the cross not enough for you? I'm confused.
Because God is omnipotent. Human beings don't have the ability to create their children perfect. God does, but he chooses not to, right? He didn't know any other way to straighten things out without dying, sacrifice, death. He didn't know any other way. I thought he was smart. And let me get this straight. Instead of being a parent and trying to raise his children, he chose to die and go to heaven. A sacrifice?
I'm trying to explain that we were created for a purpose, but it's our choice to fulfill the purpose. We can't blame him for our failures. That's not really fair.
Jennifer, that's my point. If he created us with a purpose and that purpose was not met, he didn't put us in the place to meet the purpose. That's what you do with your creations. If you really want your product to succeed at something, you give it all the tools necessary to succeed. His absence is a true roadblock to that purpose.
All I know is that if I live right and I die and find out everything was a lie, then I've lost nothing. But if I do things wrong and I die and find out everything was the truth, then I've lost everything, so I choose to believe.
You do realize that's bullying, right? Somebody told you either get down with the cause or suffer the consequences. You do realize that, right? Your guy's a bully, is he?
There are opportunities everywhere out here. I mean, we got 24 hours in a day to go find them, but it's on you if you're going to get up and actually do that. Well, we're usually rewarded for good and consequences for bad. That's just life. I know that no good thing will he withhold if I walk upright. I know that for the good, we're rewarded the kingdoms of heaven, and for bad, the wages of sin are death. So I'm just going to believe what I believe, and best of luck. Good night.
Jennifer, why would eternal hell be a reasonable consequence for you? Why? I don't understand that.
Plain and simple, God didn't fail. He created imperfect beings so that they can make their own choices and live their own lives the way they want to do it.
Lewis, did he really have to make them imperfect in order for them to live their own lives and make their own choices? Is this the only way he could do that? I thought he was all-knowing.
Also, to answer your question about hell, the hell is like a stove. You know, kids won't keep touching a hot stove if they know the consequences in the end, would they? The fact that we have free will makes us imperfect. We're imperfect because we have the chance to, go out and make mistakes and be as corrupt as, we all are.
Attention, Lewis. We can see the stove. We know it's hot. We can see the parents who tell us it's hot. We can't see either God or hell, can we? Lewis, you do realize that means he gave us those desires to do all this crazy stuff that we do. How can you blame us for it and send us to hell or the burning stove?
Yes, you don't touch the hot stove because your parents tell you it's hot, but you ultimately succeed because you make the right decisions, not the wrong ones.
Lewis, we make the ultimate right decision because we had actual guidance from actual people. We don't just have somebody a book that guidance.
The only thing he gave us was the free will. Anything that we do is all less. Whatever you do is what's in your heart. So if you're a corrupt, mean person, then that's what's in your heart. Whatever's in your heart is what shines out daily. So if you're a negative person, then that's all you're going to portray. If you're a good, kind-hearted person, then you're going to be that also. Just remember that.
Lewis, where do you think what's in your heart comes from? Didn't God give it to you?
No, what's in your heart is what you create yourself. The only thing he gave you was the seed. The seed that's your heart, that's your soul. The seed. That's it. To further clarify that, your heart and soul are like a seed. Whatever you put in is what you're going to get out of it. So again, if you put in negativity, that's all you're going to be. If you put in good, then...
And God created the negativity you put inside your heart. There's no way around it. If God created everything, he created the bad that's in the world. There's no way around that.
God didn't create us with a purpose to do good. He created us so that we could have a choice to do good. That's what makes it more sublime and more meaningful for him. And that choice that God gave us is what man makes corrupt. That's how it becomes bad, not God. It's indirectly.
Dude, you need to read it closer. It doesn't want you to be good or bad. It wants you to eat the tree of life. Go read Genesis again.
God actually didn't fail. He just got tricked by the devil, and that all fell into the hands of Adam and Eve. But people still go to heaven, and he still forgives people, so either way he wins.
Sam, please explain how God can be tricked but still not fail. And to everyone else, please answer the actual question. Your points made no sense to the question.
The 10-second answer is he created us good, and with free will, we chose to do evil and continue to choose evil when we don't choose him.
Paul, is there free will in heaven? If it is there evil in heaven? If you can create free will up there without evil, how come you can't do it down here?
I understand your concern, but God didn't create us to do good. He created us to test us to see if we would do good or evil. Yeah, we have a free will in heaven, but how would he test our faith? Since in heaven we already know it's easier to choose the right. Here where we don't know, it's harder.
Clara, if he simply created us just to see if we were doing wrong, how is it justified that he punishes us for eternity for doing wrong?
Yes.
You're right, Cortez. And the reason why these people keep restating the same point over and over and over again is because they truly do not know how to answer your question. It's just an old artificial entity used to promote conscientiousness, but we don't need it anymore.
If you believe in God, you must believe in the devil. But doing bad things is choice of the people, what we choose to do.
Christina, that is not the question. Re-listen to the question and then re-answer it, because that is not the question.
I am sorry, I don't know how differently to answer to you. It's not God's fault. It's evil things we choose to do sometimes. The people, don't you think? He didn't fail with his creation.
Christina, if God's plan did not involve us doing terrible stuff, but we do terrible stuff, that's a plan that failed. Get it?
When God created Adam and Eve, he created them perfect. God is perfect. He created perfect people to not make mistakes. The demon come, he messed up everything. That's what I think. Yeah, you are saying, yeah, God was his plan to create perfect people to not do mistakes. But when the demon came up and all that story, that's it.
So did his plan fail, yes or no? If his plan didn't involve the demon, that means it failed. Am I right or wrong?
No, he didn't fail his plan because he created perfect angels. One of them decide to become a bad.
Do y'all know how plans work? If something doesn't go the way you want it to and it goes the opposite, that's failing. That is failing. Again, if your plan goes wrong, it failed. He planned for something to go right. It didn't. His plan failed.